1, 2, 3. Hello, welcome to X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show. Andre is here.
That's what I get for trying to do something in the what I thought was enough time for me to run and turn something on. I was like, surely I'll be back in time, and then my cord got stuck, and I'm like, yeah. Professionalism.
We are your hosts. I'm Davan, and that's Andre. He's here.
That's true.
And we are here to review and rate and enjoy the season 1 episode of X-Men the Animated Series, Captive Hearts.
You didn't say we had to enjoy it. That wasn't in the prerequisite. I don't remember reading that in the contract. It didn't say enjoyment was mandatory.
Well, we have to enjoy it because we have guests.
Oh, yes, we do.
Hello.
We have a guest with us today. It's my cousin Dave Mater from the Super Mater Brothers. And Live Long and Podcast. These things.
Yeah. Ooh,
these things right here.
Oh, take big space there on the screen. Thank you.
Oh, we do it big. Do it big here on X.
It goes by real estate, the amount we charge you. So
you didn't
expect a large bill in the mail.
Yeah, I should have read
just because MeUndies and all those guys get free ads doesn't mean you do. All right,
it's only a taste, MeUndies guys. That was just a taste.
Yeah, it's true.
Once the money starts flowing, then we'll be modeling them and wearing them on our heads, whatever you want, whatever our corporate overlords want. We will do it.
We're trying a new approach over here on
begging. Is what we're trying.
It's what it takes to talk about X-Men, and it's worth it.
That's true.
I have to agree. Yes, we do, and that's why we're here to talk about it.
Episode 5, Captive Hearts.
Does anyone have any opening thoughts before we get into this kind of scene by scene review?
I feel as though there's some funny stuff in this, and I'll definitely get to it as we go through the review. But nothing overlayingly important that I think is that the audience needs to know prior to getting into that. I don't think. Is there anything you guys noticed?
Well, I like. First off, like there was the whole previously on X-Men, so I didn't watch like the 4 episodes leading up to this or rewatch them. So they're like previously on X-Men, and they're just like getting punched in the face constantly and like beat up and thrown against walls. And I was like, okay, so previously they got hurt and they've been through some rough times.
And I think there's a reason for that, why they chose those particular scenes, because all those scenes are from 2 episodes ago. Like the things they show didn't happen in the last episode or the one before it. I mean, little brief thing with Sabretooth, but mostly it's when they're fighting the Sentinels in Night of the Sentinels, which are episodes 1 and 2. And I think the only reason for that is because, which will segue us into the first scene, is when the episode opens, they're inside the danger room, and you have Rogue, if I recall correctly, Gambit, Jubilee, and Storm. And then some overlay from Xavier saying that they're fighting. The danger room is giving them enemies.
These dangers are patterned on those X-Men might encounter in the field. Our continued training is crucial.
I got a question about
that.
Which all seem to be Sentinel-based attacks with their little weird gripper things and their energy beams and stuff. So that I think that's why they showed us them fighting all the Sentinel stuff for some reason, to just sort of hammer home that they're being trained to fight against Sentinels in the future.
Right.
Just let me interrupt one sec there, Dave. Can you just come down just a touch? Just a touch.
Come down?
Yeah, just a touch. There's still just a little echo coming off you, I think. There.
Test. How's that?
Yeah, seems good
to me.
Okay. Yeah, because the thing I noticed about, like, these are things you'll encounter in the field, and one of them was like flying buzzsaws, like blades coming at them, right? At one point, I was like, what, do Sentinels shoot flying buzzsaw blades at things? And then there was this whole reference to Morph. Remember what happened to Morph?
Yeah.
There's
a lot of mental.
This one's for you, Morph.
Get that in early.
That's an early go. There's a lot of emotional weight given to Morph's death, considering we only knew him for like an episode, and he wasn't like it's not like they talked at length about his family or his kids or anything that made you really care about him. In fact, he was kind of annoying. And, and then all of a sudden they just kill him off. And then it's like this deep emotional resonance that's supposed to carry us through that they lost Morph. I mean, it just seemed like a cheap way to show the stakes were high, that people could die. But it also seems like it's ineffective when the people that can die are nobodies that no one's going to care about later.
Yeah, Morph's
Like,
not even a comic book character, is he? Like
He is, but he's not that. He's never been that big of a character. A version
He's
of
from
him
a-
that.
Yeah. He's
Well, there
from
was a
future
version in the
state,
normal
but-
universe, wasn't there? In the MCU proper. But I think the one that most people know and are most familiar with are from the Exiles run in the comics, where they had alternate universe versions of superheroes teaming up to fight multiversal problems. Like, and he was on that team, which it lasted
From
a long
the-
time. That comic.
Yeah. He was from the Age of Apocalypse, like future.
Yes, that version. I mean, it was a cool comic because you get like Spider Carnage as a regular character, Spider-Man 2099 joining the team, like different event, like alternate versions or timeline or universe.
Blink. I'm a big Blink fan.
Yes, that's right. So yeah, a lot of cool characters. But yeah, I think he was mostly known for that and less so for his appearances in X-Men comics in general.
Yeah. The other thing I want to mention off the bat, like just coming into this podcast, I watched the episode, and then like I know you guys know this, but the theme song, holy crap! Like, it's just like dun, 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 right? And like by the end of it, you are so pumped and ready to watch this show.
It's so
Like,
good. They include it in every episode at least twice.
Yeah, just like and the way it ramps up, like towards the end, it's like dun, 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 and like they're coming together and like they smash. And it's like X-Men go.
Like this.
Exactly.
Yeah, like
it is one of the all-time. I would say, like, I would put it up there if there's a top 5 best TV theme songs of all time. It's definitely. I don't know if I'd say
absolutely.
it's one, but it's definitely up there with like Knight Rider and like some of those other, and those other really recognizable, memorable ones.
But like for a theme song that has no lyrics, right? Nope. It has no like most theme songs would explain the premise of the show or who you're dealing with. Mm-hmm. It doesn't. Like it does in the visuals. It's like, okay, here are your X-Men, and they can kind of do weird things like different powers, and then you kind of see Magneto and the villains and whatever, but there's not, I don't even know if they're referenced by name, but so much, but just like you're like, what the heck is this, right? And then like it comes together, and it's like by the end of that theme song, I'm just like, this is amazing, let's get back into this. And then the show, it's good, but it's like I always feel like it could be a little bit better, because it's just like it's I don't know. It's like the dialogue and some of the animation and just like the way the characters behave.
It is a product of its time, though. I can't defend it too much because like the Batman animated series was on around the same time, and that's like animation wise, like perfect. It's so good. So,
animation could be smoother on this.
It could be a little smoother, and maybe the dialogue and stuff could be better.
But I love the dialogue. The dialogue kills me.
There is some good stuff, but there is some clunky stuff too, for sure.
Yeah,
more with like not the main characters, more with like just these random people, and like the random humans. They're very one-dimensional, and even these Morlocks that we meet here. The Dragon Ball Z theme song. I don't know if I know that one. I'm a little too old for that, maybe.
Oh no, that one's pretty great. Although it had different versions depending on who's office manager. Who's
that's Neil.
Okay, I was gonna say who's jumping in with. Do we have an overlord that I'm unfamiliar with that's giving us hints here? No, and it was different because the Fox version of Dragon Ball Z and the YTV version of Dragon Ball Z had different theme songs. So I remember the Fox one was super tight because it was like super like Dragon Ball Z. It was like super heavy metal, and then like the YTV one was like Dragon Ball Z. It was like, I don't know. It was quite a different tone each of them, but I think the Fox one was definitely superior, especially the amount of aggressiveness coming from that show. Everything's exploding and getting punched like all the time.
I love my TV theme songs.
They're pretty great. All right, so we're in the danger room. We get a great rogue line, which I know Davan really likes. Where she says, "Watch your back, Swamp Rat." Do you have that one?
No, I don't have one.
We often talk about how some of the best dialogue and quotes come from Rogue because she's always just snapping these hilarious things. Like you look as nervous.
Your old buddy doesn't let the grass grow under his feet.
Yeah, stuff like that. She had one in the first episode or second episode that was like, "You look more nervous than a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs." Just stuff like that, like all these weird little colloquialisms.
Yeah.
So,
what would a Southern lass say or something, right? Like,
I often make jokes about the writers in the show how whenever they write dialogue for Beast, It's like the way that a person writing for a smart person would write dialogue. Like they're always quoting Shakespeare or, you know, using like huge vocabulary. So I feel like Rogue's kind of fallen prey to that a little bit too. Like everyone from, you know, the South is like super folksy and has all these sort of colloquialisms just in their back pocket to pull out at any instance.
Yeah. She never says bless your heart though.
Not yet. But one thing I find interesting is that, like, I'm always curious about where Xavier's funding comes from. So, like, they
patents,
have
I think
they have this danger room. Is he just stealing ideas from inventors and patenting them himself using his mind powers?
No,
Because,
it's his
like,
father's patents. He's still
for
cashing
what?
in off those.
Did he invent like Post-it notes or whiteout or something important that everybody uses?
It must
Toilet
have been.
paper?
Yeah,
I
it
didn't know
had to
that.
have been.
Because there's a danger room full of these machines, and part of the exercise is just to smash them all. Like they're just like blowing up the machines constantly, and you're like, they have to repair each of these for the next person that comes through. Those
Most of the
buzzsaws
people
don't
who
pay
go
for
in there
themselves.
are children.
Yeah,
well.
that's true. But they were exploding a lot of what looked to be heavy machinery, expensive heavy machinery. So as they're doing this training exercise, the walls start closing in, which activates Storm's claustrophobia, as we teased in the previous episode. In which,
because it happened in the last episode.
Yes. Well, it was sort of teased. They never actually said she has claustrophobia. It was just sort of, if you know what claustrophobia is, you'll know that that's what she was suffering from. But at no point do they say, "Oh, it looks like Storm's claustrophobia is acting up again." And this one,
they do.
Yeah. So her powers kind of go wonky because she's having a bit of a spell because of the claustrophobia, which sort of distracts and knocks around all the other members. In which they end the simulation, and then she says to Professor Xavier, who just astrally projects himself into the room, as one does for fun.
Yeah, he doesn't even come down. He's just
he's like, I can't be bothered. He doesn't even walk.
We must probe deeper.
Yeah. That's from a while ago too. He doesn't even walk. He's in a movable chair. So, like, what was that one?
Never mind.
Okay. So, like, instead of just hovering his chair down to where they're at from a window that's not too far away, we already established the chair kind of flies. So he just projects himself as like an astral image in front of them. Like, less.
He's like, I'm not coming down there. It's dangerous in that dangerous room.
Yes.
I'm in a wheelchair, for God's sake.
Like when I really think about this whole danger room scene, I'm like, Professor X is like a sociopath. You know, he's just throwing this group. Now they're adults, they're not kids, but like he's like, yeah, you might face this, the flying buzzsaws, and then like the room that's closing in, and even Rogue, who's a pretty powerful mutant, is like can't even fight this thing. You know,
yeah, Jubilee's in there. There's at least one kid.
Jubilee, no Beast. Why isn't he in this episode?
Oh, he's in prison.
He's in prison.
Oh, he's in prison right now.
He was kidnapped by not kidnapped, but contained by the
Control Agency.
Mutant Control Agency when the same episode Morph died in. So there's a trial. They're leading towards a big trial where he's going to defend his mutant rights. And
right, I remember
the professor
that.
think it's a good idea.
Yes, he rejected being sprung by Magneto, so he wants his day in court. But it's a weird flex for Professor X. He's like, hey, I'm just gonna astrally project myself over here and be like, yo. So from there we cut. Oh, and then Storm mentions to Xavier that her claustrophobia probably is gonna stop. Like she's hesitant to become the leader of the group because her claustrophobia is sort of, going to hinder her in that respect. To which Xavier doesn't really respond. Then we cut to old Wolvie, still with the most oh god, yeah, that's a scene again too. So I'm trying to think of the word. With the most unreliable mutant healing factor in the history of any depiction of Wolverine. So he got sliced across the chest by Sabretooth last episode, and he was basically in a coma at the end of the episode from it. And then this episode, he's like mostly healed. He's doing karate by himself in his little dojo there, with still the bandages on his chest.
You're supposed to be resting. Even you can't heal this fast.
Yeah, like in most versions, he heals from cuts and stuff instantly. Like his body just reforms. So,
yeah, that's a bit inconsistent. I was like, really? Like Sabretooth messed him up this bad?
Yeah, not really. Like if he was
sliced him good, but still, it's Wolverine.
There was no blood even like that. I mean, it's not his cartoon, but you think like they would, if he sliced open that badly, it shouldn't take like weeks at least to like reform. It seems.
But the real thing with this episode, this whole love triangle with
out of nowhere, we've never seen this before. Now
this is the first time. Is this the first time it's ever?
This is the first time we've made any hint to this.
I know it's only episode 5, but like it's so weird. Like it's still weird. It like the movie version I think works better than this because the movie version's a little bit, but it's kind of the same. It's like the Florence Nightingale effect where you fall in love with your nurse, kind of, because that's what Jean Grey is sort of like doting over him, and he's like, I love you, Jean, but I don't even understand why he's so into her.
Not really explained. I guess he just likes her, I suppose,
because she has insidious mind powers.
Yes, right. She really gets off on having men fight over her, so she's projects like love to Wolverine.
Cyclops is waiting for me, and she's like, so am I.
I like that line. Actually, it seems like straight out of like
Cyclops
romantic
is waiting
comedy.
for me.
So am I.
Yeah, like that's like probably some of the best emotional voice acting that guy's done in this entire show so far as Wolverine. Because most times he's just screaming. Like there's not. But I guess
they're not skirting around it anymore. You just
not
came
at
right
all.
out and.
So so he trips when he's doing his karate, and she, because he's still hurt, she catches him, and then they're face to face, and he says Jean, and she says that, and then, that's to let us know that they have feelings or he cares for it. I mean, it's a pretty obvious Jean does as well.
Right. Like she's like
nice, she wouldn't be that close.
I'm in a committed relationship with Cyclops. Sorry.
which is it, like, love triangles always make for good writing, or not always for good writing, but I meant for good drama in a show like this. So especially when it's like the leader and his girlfriend and but at least in the movie you got to meet Wolverine. Like we learned about the X-Men through Wolverine in the movie. In this, he's already part of the X-Men. They make allude a little bit to that he was some kind of, like, he was full of rage when he first came to them, and they helped him sort of get that under control. But we don't really know, like, his interaction with how he first encountered Jean and Cyclops. That's all pretty vague at this point.
Are you
right?
nuts?
Yes. Yeah, the thing too, I also thought about, like, if Professor X can like help Wolverine with his rage and becoming more, I guess, like the way he showed up, he was not, he was like an animal or whatever.
Yeah.
Can Professor X not help like Storm with her claustrophobia, like using his telepathic powers?
You would think, but he wants her to do it the real way.
The heart,
he doesn't say that though.
You could come down just a touch more, Dave. You're still echoing, and I think it would handle it. You're still quite loud compared to us because we are turned down as well.
I think, like I feel like coming to your own terms with your own rage and coming down from that is more worthwhile than like helping someone with the debilitating claustrophobia. But anyway, then we cut to Cyclops and Jean Grey leaving the Phantom of the Opera, which they seem to be watching in the theater, or it's not sure if it's a movie or or an actual play.
Magneto was the Phantom of the Opera last episode.
That's true. He was. So, Cyclops is distracted. He's worried, my cat's making an appearance, as he always does.
They were making out on that street for a long time, I guess.
Yeah, he's like, I'm just like worried. She's like, why are you so distracted? He's like, I'm just worried I'm gonna let Professor X down or not like keep up to my ability. He's like, that's what girls want to date, when the guy's just distracted. And he's like,
I'm not even thinking about you. He's like, being an X-Man is the most important job in the world.
And worried I can't be so good at it, And then she just kisses him, and he's like, all right, I'll change my priorities. And it's now all about you, which I thought was pretty funny. And while this is going on,
10 seconds.
Exactly. Like, he on a dime. He's like, my whole night I've been distracted by this, but now that you've kissed me, well, I mean, fuck Professor X. To throw that guy out the window. I'm ready. I'm all in. But while this is happening, we notice a small green mutant, childlike green mutant. Yes, there he is.
Leech.
Who we eventually know as Leech, stealing fruit, like 2 pieces of fruit.
And powers. Stealing fruit and powers like nobody's business.
I have several questions about this. One, who's a fruit stand at night? That late at night? It's like 10 at night, and the guy's operating his fruit stand. Number 2, the dude's
New York City.
The dude's like, this guy stole my fruit. Let's get him. And then like 6 other people chase after him. So are there 6 people manning this fruit stand, or are they just random people that someone's like, let's get that mutant, and then they all just stop what they're doing and run with them to create a mob instantaneously?
Remember that Seinfeld episode about fruit? They take it real seriously in New York.
That's true. It's run by fruiting. So to quote Mrs. Doubtfire.
Right.
So Cyclops and Jean see this young mutant in trouble, afraid for his safety with this, this like out of nowhere human mob chasing him. So they run off to help. The kid runs straight to a underground subway tunnel, to which he's greeted by a group of other strange-looking mutants, who we come to know as the Morlocks. I like the flat one that kind of looks like Rainbow Bright off to the right. She's interesting.
Tommy.
I didn't even name her in this. Is that just her name in the comics?
Yes, Tommy.
Okay. So they, to which the kid runs to them, and then the large mutant who we come to know as, I wrote his name down.
Sunder.
Yeah. Sumner is what I put. I must have misheard it. So they come in, then they start messing up the humans. Jean Grey and Cyclops get there and think, well, now we have to save the humans from these mutants. And then a big fight ensues, in which a mysterious old lady appears and uses her powers to influence, apparently, is what she does. Is she named? I called her Granny.
She's creepy. Yeah, Anna Lee.
Anna Lee.
You will be rewarded, Anna Lee. Congratulations.
The most Machiavellian bad guy, Callisto. So yeah, she used her powers to make everybody fall asleep. They leave the humans there, and they take Jean Grey and Scott.
I need to sleep. Must sleep.
She's creepy. She'd be a creepy villain in like a horror episode of an X-Men show.
It's very Vincent Pricey, like something from one of those sort of movies. I like it.
Yeah, it works. It's simple, and they're just like.
But she kind of looks like a sweet old lady. Aside from that, you know, like it's not like she's designed to look scary or creepy. She just looks like someone's grandma who has this insanely powerful ability to make people do whatever she wants them to just by saying it, basically.
Yeah.
So,
like power of suggestion, basically.
Yeah, like instantaneous, basically. Says like 2 times and they're ready to go. And I mean, stuff that happens later is pretty intense. Like people that are forced to do things well against what they normally would do.
And her face gets all creepy when she does it too, which makes her even better as a creepy villain.
To which, yes, the leader of the Morlocks appears and tells Anna Lee that she'll be rewarded for her work. And then
Callisto.
Then they all take them off to some unknown location, which we'll get to later. Then
my order, destroy the X-Men.
That comes later.
Sorry,
you're spoileringly.
All right, I'll let you go. I'll let you go.
Right. No, you're not spoiling. I mean, you're not spoiling me. You're just spoiling. Like I'm sure.
Jumping ahead. He's jumping.
I'm sure the listeners are on the edge of their seat of what's going to happen, and you don't want to ruin anything. These bad guys might want to destroy the X-Men. Also, Davin, I think I deserve a special award because I'm the biggest Spider-Man fan on the planet, and I am not going to see the opening of Spider-Man No Way Home tonight because of this. So if you doubt my dedication to this podcast,
that's dedication.
Let this stand. I have a Spider-Man
I'm not
tattoo.
going because COVID canceled all our tickets.
No, I think it's still playing here in Truro.
Not in Halifax. Halifax, they had to refund everybody.
I heard that.
Halifax's rules are changing on Friday.
Nova Scotia or
my
Ontario's
tickets were
rules
for
are changing.
Saturday
We're changing, so my tickets are the right day, luckily. But
yeah, I was going to go tonight.
Mine are not.
I should try to run in and see it then before everything closes down.
No spoilers.
All right, I gotta go see Spider-Man.
Sorry, guys.
Could be months before I see it.
So then we cut to, and I was wondering, because there are a few memes that have come from this X-Men series that have, been predicated all across the web in different ways. And then we get, so I was wondering how long it'd take before we got to the Wolverine looking at the picture of Jean Grey in the bed, fully costumed for some reason. And that would be right here. We get it right there.
It was that, but I never realized it's a picture of Jean and Scott.
Yeah, I know. And like he has
it's so weird.
In his room. Like if you
so he can dramatically cut it.
If I walked into Davin's house and there's a picture of me and my wife framed sitting on his mantle, I would be pretty disturbed. I'd be like, why do you have this? Where did you get it? And what? Yeah.
Excuse me.
Why are you looking at it constantly? You just like touching Jean's picture on it.
Nice
like
picture.
Did you just steal it from their room? Like that's even more troublesome.
Yeah, it was just like, what is going on? Like, am I supposed to like Wolverine, or who am I supposed to be rooting for in this?
It's pretty creepy, especially that he's in full costume. Like he appears to just be relaxing at home, and he's like in full Wolverine garb, laying on the bed, just looking at this picture and touching it lovingly. But it's funny that like, so you live in a house, you're on a team with these people. It's well known that 2 of them are together. And he seems to get very angry anytime anybody mentions that they're together. Like they're walking by in the hallway. I think Gambit calls them lovebirds or something. And then Wolverine gets visibly angry by hearing Gambit say that. So it's like you have to at least temper it somewhat. Because like there's no way you can go through your daily life and not be constantly reminded they're together when they all live in the same house and they're on a team together.
To be fair, I think Wolverine gets annoyed every time Gambit speaks. I think
That
that's
is
just
true. It
part of
does
his
seem to be
character.
Gambit specifically.
Yeah, every time Gambit says anything, Wolverine fires back, "Shut up, Gambit."
Yeah,
Well,
there's
you should
another
know
line later
Gambit-
where he says, "Go ahead."
Gambit says some crazy things.
Stay back, old woman. You're gonna get hurt.
He kind of sounds like he's drunk there. Like, "Stand back, old woman. You're gonna get hurt.
He's like, "How much French can I slip in here?"
You're gonna charge this bottle and throw it at you." Yeah, and later on, Wolverine says, "What, can of Cajun or something like that" to him, which I thought was a fun
Yeah,
line.
Canna Cajun, she's in
Canna
command here. Storm's running the show.
That's right. Wolverine sticks
Well,
up for
Wolverine
Storm a
has
lot in this, which-
one great line. I mean, it's a bit of a spoiler, but
Don't bother. Blow those slugs off and let's bust out of this puke hole.
He's written like Snake Plissken. Like he's just like
Yeah.
an 80s action star. That's how he's written in almost every
Oh,
as
good as this
what
one.
was the gutter
All right,
sucking-
you egg-sucking piece of gutter trash.
That's it. That's the one I was going to reference. But yeah, he does pull a lot of those out, and they're quite funny. Although you must appreciate it, Wolverine in this episode because he sticks up for Storm a lot in this episode.
Yeah, he likes
Tell it-
Storm.
and
Him and Storm have a legit friendship, it seems, which is nice.
and like how I isolated, I think it was last episode, how Cyclops, Storm, and Wolverine are the leadership group of the X-Men, and that
I
came
think
into play
Wolverine's a
here
far
too.
bronze, like a distant bronze.
He's a bronze, fire bronze, but he is a bronze because like
Mm-hmm.
when she starts freaking out in the tunnels, Gambit just looks at Wolverine. It's like, help her, and it's just like, nah, we're not doing that yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he
still,
says
she's
she has
still,
to do
the
it
next leader.
herself. Yeah.
Yeah,
There's like a hierarchy.
Kinda,
they're doing it right. They're doing it all right so far. I
It's
like
a pecking order. You know, you got,
Right.
you know, it's like, Professor X, then Storm,
Storm.
Cyclops,
Cyclops,
Storm.
Then Wolverine.
Yeah, a little
And
further.
Jean Grey.
Yeah, Jean Grey seems to be in there too, but she seems to be more like a mascot, I guess. I don't know.
Less of a leader. Though. Doesn't seem
Yeah. like a
right?
mascot. She's just like a cheerleader. That
She's the
seems
only one
very
without like a cool
misogynistic.
superhero name. She's the only one. Jean
Beast
Grey.
looks more like a mascot.
That is true. He does look like someone in a mascot costume. I love the background that we made here for this with all these X-Men characters. How happy Beast looks in the corner. He's very happy to be. He's just happy to be there. Everybody else is fighting, and Beast is like, "Yay!"
Sabretooth looks pretty happy.
Yeah,
Yeah, he looks like he's snarly, but yeah, he's just and like
Oh,
Jean has no emotion on her face whatsoever. Okay, so then we cut back to Cyclops, who awakens without his powers with the little green kid who we now know as Leech. We discovered the kid took his powers for a little while so that he's able to see without his visor. We see his eyes for the first time, which is nice. Then they take him to meet Callisto, the leader of the Morlocks, who won Cyclops. Oh, is there a soundbite?
That was it.
Oh,
Yeah,
what was it
just
again?
Cyclops saying, "Did I miss something?"
Yeah.
Miss something?
Right. He's like, I suddenly aren't shooting beams out of my eyes. Did I miss something? So yeah, then we meet Callisto, who wants Cyclops to like her pitch needs a little work. She's like, I want you to join us, be our leader, be my king, because I need someone to sire an heir with. This is like all within a sentence. It's like why we need Cyclops here. And he has a
Who
great
wants to-
response where he says, take out an ad.
I was about to say, did anyone want to improv Callisto's Tinder profile?
Yeah, I just love that he just says, she's like, I need a mate, to have to sire an heir. And he's like, take out an ad.
Yeah.
We're
Well,
Morlocks
no, the whole.
outcasts, mutants too deformed and unsightly to pass for human on the surface world.
She just
Okay.
has a scar.
Yeah,
This whole thing about the Morlocks, I like the whole Morlocks is a concept, and like this idea like these are mutants that can't pass for human. Okay, first of all, Cyclops, it seems like he almost does fall in this category because he's constantly shooting beams out of his eyes. But I guess he can wear
Yes.
glasses and get
but
away
we
with it.
do reference
He
that his
surely
powers
does.
come from the sun, which has never been established before, and that he
Yeah.
wouldn't be much use to them underground because he gets his powers from the sun. So he's like solar charged.
Yeah, I remember that being referenced in this episode, and I guess is that true in the comic books too?
I don't
Is that-
remember that, but
It
maybe.
was But now it's like, well, maybe it still has to do with the sun a little bit, but it basically his eyes are a window into a pocket universe that's entirely energy, so it just starts bursting out of his eyes whenever he opens it. They're like little portals.
Because everything needs to have a ridiculously complicated explanation in comic books. You can't just have eye beams. They need to be another universe.
From the sun.
This idea that he doesn't have to always wear the glasses, though. He could. There's a way for him to live without that, or he could live sort of like a normal life, if you will, not having to worry about blowing off his girlfriend's face if he, opens up his eyes in bed or something, right? And so, but like Callisto doesn't seem like she falls into this category. That one Anna Lee or whatever, the one who's going like sleep.
She's an old lady.
She's just an old lady. It seems like Beast, would fall into this category.
Yeah, for sure.
He's right, but I like because if the whole thing about who are the X-Men, the metaphor of the X-Men, people who I guess can if it's a gay metaphor or something like that, like you can pass for straight or not pass for straight. I guess that's kind of what is here, because they're like, she's like at the end, like Storm's like, come live in the mansion with us, and they're like, no, not until the world accepts us. And she's like, well, we'll see one day,
when that day comes, I'll be back, but in the meantime, you guys just dwell in the sewers.
Enjoy it down here. I just didn't quite, I was like, okay, why can't you live on the surface, Callisto? Why can't Anna Lee? Or is this, do you choose to live here? Is this more like, is there something else about you? Even Callisto's powers, what are they? Like
she's unknown really in this one.
She's strong and fast.
She can go invisible now, but certainly not in here.
Okay.
So we also discover they're holding Jean hostage as sort of another way to entice Cyclops to join the team, to go bone Callisto and Siren Air and become king of the Morlocks, which does sound like a cool title. But when Jean breaks loose and says Scott's my date, which is a fun little very 80s response to what's going on, throws around some Morlocks for their powers before they incapacitate her and knock her out. Cyclops tries to help, but he also gets knocked out.
And she tries to call the professor, right? At one point,
he reached out to him briefly.
Yeah, and he's like, "What? Oh, I lost the signal."
He's trying to get Wi-Fi. He's like walking around. He's like, "Wait, it's good over here,"
Because you know how they always have to do this thing in like the movies where they're like, "Well, we have to find a way to incapacitate Professor X," or I guess in the comic books they have this too. But that doesn't. I don't understand that all the time, because he's so powerful and he could, with his mind powers, he could do almost anything, right? Mm-hmm. But here he's like, "You guys better get down there. I can't. I can do."
They're underground. It's like my Wi-Fi connection.
Yeah, maybe it's like Superman's lead. Like there's lead streets above them, and these powers don't permeate lead.
And if so, that would be an interesting weakness for Professor X to not establish.
When powers are mind based. I mean, it's weird that he can ping her for a sec, but then can't find her. Like it is a signal or something.
Or he can't read into the minds of anybody else around, or does he have Cerebro yet?
He does,
at this point?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
With Cerebro, he can do pretty much anything. So.
Yeah, why does he go use that? So
as there to watch him, he likes a supervisor. There's usually someone standing behind him.
Well, as Dave mentioned, then she reached out to Xavier briefly, and then we cut to Xavier, who is pinpointed a general area of their location based on the signal he received from Jean.
Somewhere under New York.
Just get in there and walk around, see what you find. Don't get killed by rats. So Rogue
Storm go run through the tunnels.
Just keep screaming colloquialism till someone finds you. So yeah, they go in the tunnels to go find them, and to which, as they're entering, Gambit says something along the lines of, warning Storm that it's going to get tight because they're going underground, and that's when Wolverine tells him, "Can it, Cajun?" Which is Wolverine once again getting angry at Gambit. And defending Storm.
To which Gambit says,
"Stay back, old woman. You're gonna get hurt."
You're gonna get hurt.
Stay back, old woman. I can't do it. I can't.
He called Wolverine an old woman.
Is that where they find Jean Grey? Right, and she's been brainwashed by Anna Lee.
This is where we get to, yeah. So the mutant spies on them. I believe it's Leech is watching them. No, is it Leech? No, just some of the other Morlocks are watching. The flat one, Tommy. Old flat Tommy was watching them. Yes. So Gambit brings up it's a strange hideaway for these lovebirds or whatever, and Wolverine gets angry again at Gambit for bringing up anything that has to do with Jean Grey and Cyclops, being in any kind of relationship.
Just anytime Gambit speaks, he's like, "Shut up, Gambit! I'm tired of hearing you speak."
It's so defensive. Like, everybody in the world must know that Wolverine cares about Jean Grey. Like, I know from my personal experience, back in the day, if you like some girl that, might have been in a situation, you don't want to make it apparent to everybody, including the girl. I mean, as much as possible. But it seems like Wolverine, like, everyone should know. If someone's just like, hey, Wolverine and Scott and Jean are doing something, Wolverine's like, shut up, like, constantly. You'd think people would suss it out pretty early on. So he's not very good at hiding his emotions, old Wolverine. He just wears them all on his sleeve, that's for sure. He doesn't even have sleeves.
Mommy? Who are these bad people?
Yeah, which is pretty creepy.
It was really
It is.
creepy, yeah.
Annalee is super creepy.
Because she has the power to make people believe whatever she wants them to. And instead of just
she goes to creepy places with it.
Yeah, like instead of just making her believe that she's a Morlock or she's an adult woman that's on the Morlock side, she makes her believe she's a child and Annalee's her mom. So yes, they run across them, to which we discover Jean Grey's brainwashed of some kind by Annalee, thinks she's her mom. Wolverine kind of just runs right at her.
He's gonna put that claw right through her face, and then she's like,
"Get them off me!"
Yeah, she moves, and then he puts the squirrel covered in scorpions.
Would Wolverine really care about
that's
scorpions?
Actually a little later, but yes, yeah.
Oh, was it? Yeah.
It's fine, but yeah, the lady just runs away, and then Jean kind of snaps out of it at this point, and they, then they kind of get her back on board. She realizes what's going on. Then they find Scott, who appears dead, to which Callisto tells them, Scott, like, they had to kill him, so he wouldn't join their team for some reason. To which Wolverine says, oh, well, if he's dead, we might as well cut him up, basically, and comes right at him with claws, snapping him alive and making us realize he's another shapeshifter.
Which is another favorite line. He goes, Cyclops has got issues, but he don't smell like a Morlock.
Yeah, I like that line.
Which is funny because at no point in this series has any of them announced themselves as Morlocks to them. So why would Wolverine know they're Morlocks? They did to Scott and Jean, but nobody said we're Morlocks.
Oh, yeah, just Scott and Jean.
Oh,
he just happens to know what Morlocks are. So no prize for André.
Point.
You already knew about these Morlocks.
We'll send you a sticker.
Yes. One more for the collection.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Wolverine's first step, I mean, he scares the guy. Like, he puts the claws on either side of his head, but then he snaps to and reforms into runs off. So then the X-Men go on to fight the Morlocks in a big fight. Wolverine fights Callisto for a while. She runs away, to which Wolverine, do you have that soundbite to which Wolverine says something particularly creepy?
Nope.
I love it when they play hard to get, and he runs after her.
I didn't get that one on purpose because I like Wolverine.
Oh, yeah. I was like, well, that's a slightly problematic. Wolverine doesn't take no for an answer, I guess. That's
I really like how they amp up the music for the fight scene. It gets like you're really excited. You're like, yeah, fight them.
And it's just the theme song again, which they always reuse during fight scenes, which is fun. I mean, I'm not complaining. It's a great theme song, but it's just funny that
or the jet scene. They just throw it in there whenever they want to.
Oh yeah, whenever the jet's doing something, they got to play the theme song too. They love that jet.
Yep, it's a good jet.
So then Wolverine, the woman makes Gambit think that he is the plague. Which is odd. Apparently, that's a fear of Gambit's, is getting riddled with the plague.
But like, was he really given some kind of a sickness?
I don't think so. I think he just thought he had it because it was Annalee that did it, right?
No,
so
it wasn't Annalee. It was definitely the plague she gave him, because that character actually becomes Pestilence.
Is that the one? Yeah, that joins the Horsemen later.
Yeah, you're right. You're totally right.
So her powers are definitely to give you the plague.
So then she did definitely give him some sort of plague, which and
that's why he's here later.
Yeah. It's not just a psychological thing. He has to actually get better.
Get better. Yeah, I like how they don't take off his costume. They just leave.
Yeah,
him
they're like, wear
metal
that.
boots.
You take off the trench coat. Trench coat only. That's
just remove the trench coat. That'll make him comfortable. It's full metal bodysuit. That'll be nice and comfortable. I was in the hospital for 3 days, and when I went in, I had jeans on, so I had to sit in my bed with jeans for a day. And I was like, that's my wife, get in here with shorts or something, because this is the most uncomfortable I've ever been. And it's like, Yeah, so I'll take. I think they should get him out of those metal pants, maybe, and let him rest up, especially when he has the plague. So yeah, that punch is amazing. By the way, I was going to bring that up.
Just comes out of nowhere and just cracks
Rogue, like,
this old lady with a
It's like a
rogue
flying
super
uppercut punch. Like
that would have to be a pretty powerful punch if she got hit there.
her head should have came clean off, considering she probably doesn't have like extra strength.
back,
She just
old
has his
woman.
plague powers, right?
We're gonna get hurt.
Yeah, I should have listened.
Oh man. Then they come across as Wolverine's chasing Callisto. He senses Scott.
Smells him, doesn't he?
Yes, he I think he smells him and then rescues him.
What he says here is like, I could make a couple women really sad right now. Meaning what? He was gonna like either leave them to die or kill him.
Or kill him.
Yeah. Well, so it's heavily. I mean, which is dumb for several reasons. One, he says that, so he's like,
for this
women
reason,
very upset.
Killing is not the X-Men's way.
Well, that is one reason,
Especially
but
with teammates.
especially good people, just because it make your life more convenient if they were dead, isn't really a
Then I
great
could have
great
Jean
motive.
Grey for all to myself.
That's right. Sure, she'll be sad for a while, but then she'll fall into my arms and.
Yeah, Callisto would be sad too, but
but not so much. He just met him. It's only been a day. Which is funny because Wolverine seems like a much better fit for Callisto's plan than Scott does. Like, she's really hung up on Scott being the leader for some reason. It's like, wouldn't any mutant really fit the bill here? Like, why? There's lots of male mutants in your Morlocks. Can none of them have a baby with you? Like, it seems very strange that it needs to.
They're not good looking like Cyclops. He's a very handsome man.
You got the cheekbones.
Very tall.
Is a pretty heir like is that important to her plan? I guess. Yeah.
She wants her child to be able to live out of the tunnels, so she needs some fine looking genetics to counteract
Yes, but
her
none
scar.
of that is established. Yeah, the scar
In her chiseled arms.
But it's even stupider because he says aloud, basically, I could make my life better if I were to kill you now, but no, that's not right. Puts him over his shoulder and walks off. Now, he says all of this out loud to a room, to the only person in it seemingly is this unconscious Scott, to which he walks away with Scott. And then you discover the Morlocks, like 4 of them are like around the corner, like against the wall listening. And then they're like, oh, he's in love with Jean too. Wow, we're going to use that to our advantage. Like he literally just tipped his entire hand. Like, that's why I mean, it can't be a secret to anybody that he's in love with Jean because everyone, like, he's just monologuing loudly in public about it, to which other people hear and know.
Yeah, I don't want to make Jean cry. I can't make her cry. It would be.
Yeah, he does say that. It's not even about like killing him would be wrong. It's just like, I don't want to see Jean sad.
She would cry if I murdered you, so I won't murder you. Good, that's really good. You're a real noble guy, Wolverine.
Yeah.
There you go.
He doesn't want to make a girl cry.
Yeah, who would? And that's where they like
Cyclops. That's who.
So they get back to
they use this against them, right? They use this information.
Yes, they do. So Anna Lee
Yeah.
uses her powers to make, I think, Storm think that she's being crushed or something. There's something that happens that makes her think that she's being, where her claustrophobia kicks in. And I don't know. I'm guessing that was when the Morlocks were spying on them, is where they got that information, where Tommy was watching, because they never really say, in front of the Morlocks. I'm thinking it must have been when that Flat Tommy was watching them that they know that Storm has claustrophobia. Once again, if you have
I like the name Flat Tommy.
I like it. I'm sticking with it. But if you have weaknesses, like perhaps when you're going into a den where you could possibly be surrounded by enemies, don't telegraph them. Don't speak about them out loud so they could all check them into their little boxes to use against you very soon after.
You're lucky I'm not at my best, Morlocks, due to my crippling claustrophobia.
That's right.
Battle
You're
on.
in tunnels, which are heavily, harming me with this claustrophobia.
Well, the Morlocks, they have a lot of different like talent in their ranks, right? Like a lot of different skills. Like but they don't seem to have a telepath. They don't have like a Professor X. Or
Anna Lee, sort of, I guess.
She can put thoughts in your
Project,
head, but I don't think but not read your mind.
No, nothing like that.
But yeah, like otherwise they got it. Like their powers are even more impressive in some ways than the X-Men.
Yeah, like they're a well-oiled team. Like there's a point. Well, basically, what leads to the end, which we're getting to here, is that they convince them like we're going to kill these X-Men unless somebody does something drastic, which Storm does. So they're in this.
You and I. Now, for Cyclops and for the leadership of the Morlocks.
Yes. So
Did I
just
jump
before
ahead?
we get to that point,
Oh, whoops.
they make no, it's all right. Anna Lee makes Wolverine think that that he has to kill Scott, basically
right.
for Jean, to have Jean, and then
That's what's
Wolverine.
mine.
She's
Yeah.
like, fight it, Logan. And he's like, I can't make you cry, Gene. I can't do that.
Think about how much
She gives
he'll
him a little
cry.
kiss. He gives him a little
Yeah.
kiss.
That's all. That's
Yeah.
all the reward he needs. So he snaps out of it, and she dispatches Anna Lee, and then Callisto, seemingly the Morlocks had the upper hand, to which she said she's going to kill an X-Man one after the other in front of Scott until he agrees to be her bride, which I think is just such a convoluted and weird motive. But then Storm gives that
My
rant.
order: destroy the X-Men.
And I love
Yes,
destroy,
Storm
using
does.
dialogue like destroy, which doesn't implicitly say kill, but it's pretty implied. We can't say kill.
I
on
think
a
every
TV show.
villain has said it so far.
Yeah, they always use
Stand
words like.
beside it, Callisto. You
I don't
and
think you can say it.
Now,
I don't think so.
for Cyclops
I think it was like the
and
rules.
for the leadership of the Morlocks.
Yeah, and they were
Was it
getting
if
You
away with
notice
a
though,
lot
like
already.
they never punch each, like certain characters never punch either, especially the male characters never really throw punches.
When Wolverine
Um,
says in the last episode, the Sabretooth killed a bunch of his friends. He said he what did he wasted a bunch of my friends. And then when Sabretooth is going to kill Jubilee, she says he was going to total me. So they don't actually say
They
anything
just
that.
avoid it.
Yeah,
it's
they
one of
just-
the words they're not allowed to say. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm assuming so. It's like back in the day when like wrestling had Raw's War, and then they couldn't use the word war on TV, so they could just turn it to Raw. Because like
Oh, is
war
that why
was a
they
big
did
thing.
that?
Because of like I think it was the Afghanistan war was going on at the time after 9/11, so they got rid of it.
People thought they
Yeah,
were
so
getting raw footage from the Afghanistan war. I can see why. that
Raw
was
war
confused.
footage.
Just dropping The Rock and Stone Cold into the war. You guys, you guys save this for America. Rock's rock bottoming Osama bin Laden.
Oh, the people's elbow would have cleared out that whole
Yeah,
situation.
that's right. It's like a neutron bomb. So then there's this fight for leadership, which is it's funny because every time in any like dystopian future, there's like it's such an out to have the group have some kind of rule that if you beat the leader, you become the leader, and then they like it's happened so many times.
They didn't really have a rule for
Max.
that, though. She just
No.
goads them. She's just like, your people won't respect you if you don't
Yeah,
fight
out of
me."
nowhere. Like
Yeah.
I'm sure the people would be like, no, we probably still would. It's fine. I mean, we have the upper hand right
We
now.
still
Why would we give
like
all
her.
that away for any reason? Like we have the upper hand. You're at our mercy. We can kill you now. Why would we give up that advantage for vanity? Because you're like, well, you can't beat me in a 1-on-1 fight.
But the rule was no mutant powers.
No powers.
You've lost.
Yes, to which
Sorry.
Storm wins after they have
It's
a
a lightsaber
lightsaber
fight.
battle.
A lightsaber fight, guys. And so these are non-mutant powered lightsabers.
Yes.
Yep.
That
Lightsabers, straight up lightsabers.
apparently the Morlocks have lightsaber technology, which they never
They-
used before this moment. They never used it to defend themselves, to fight against the humans, to fight the X-Men. Only in battles for leadership. Do the
Leadership.
Ritual
lightsabers come out.
combat.
We only have two. We only have the two lightsabers, and we use them only for the fights to the death, for the
Like-
duels, for leadership of the Morlocks.
Our lightsaber
take
budget
them above
has been
ground and
through the
lose
roof
one.
this past year.
Yeah.
Our lightsaber budget has been through the roof this past year. So we're only using it for leadership battles and ceremonial events. Yeah, interesting choice of lightsaber. Also, that it's a sword fight at all. Like it seems like why would you just assume everybody's okay with the sword? Like why like it's and actually it's like a Darth Maul lightsaber. It's a double blade. It's more like a bow staff,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is interesting.
It's like Storm just like, I'm gonna challenge you, I'm gonna win, and then she installs Callisto as like, and Callisto, you'll continue as to rule in proxy for me.
Yeah, no real change occurs.
Even though you're kind of
No,
a bad
no.
person, you kidnapped my friend and you just said you were gonna kill me, but I think you're at a future here. You can be my vice president.
Yeah, I think they're trying to like really hammer home this leadership thing. Before I get to that, I do want to point out that perhaps George Lucas saw this episode and decided to give Darth Maul the double-bladed lightsaber based solely on this episode. Number two, so
That
Storm
was going to
wins.
be one of my points later. This was before
sorry.
the double lightsaber.
make up some new ones.
X-Men got there first.
Yeah, so Storm's like, well, come join us at the school, and they're like, no, our place is here. As long as the service world won't accept us, till they accept us, we're gonna stay down here. And Storm's like, all right, she's like,
once such acceptance is achieved, you can come.
Yeah, which like who's
As your leader, I offer you safe haven at the mansion with the X-Men.
Mansion.
My thing about that is they can still stay inside and they'd live in a mansion instead of the sewers.
Yeah.
How
They
can
don't
no
have
one
to
take
live in
her
the
up on that
sewer.
deal?
It's a pretty good deal. I mean, Beast
Pretty
lives
good
there. He's
deal.
doing all right.
It's a mansion, according to her.
So then you're right. She's just like, well, they're not coming,
mansion.
so I'm going to leave Callisto in charge, who obviously is unhinged. She kidnaps a guy from the service purely to milk him for a baby, and then it wants to kill the
How do
X-Men.
you find a mate?
Wants to kill the old-fashioned way, damn it. But and then is willing to kill all of them in order to get him to do that. Doesn't seem to have much of a moral compass at all. And she's like, well, since I can't lead you, and Storm's like, I don't want to live in the sewer, so she can look after you. I'm going back to the mansion. Peace. On her way at the door. Yeah, so then that kind of wraps up that. Jean and Scott kiss after he comes back too, and she makes a comment about how beautiful his eyes are because she never really saw them before. To which Wolverine sees this and storms off because apparently he's never seen them kiss before. So storms off. Then we cut back to old Xavier, congratulating them on a good mission, and congratulating.
Oh my God, well, that's not quite what he says.
Kinda.
I take it your date was sufficiently memorable.
Oh,
It's a little creepy.
Yeah.
Your date was sufficiently.
Scott's like, are you talking about the part where the woman leader wanted to rape me, or the part where I was knocked unconscious several times, or Jean thought he was a child, or Wolverine was covered in scorpions?
Or they faked my death?
Yeah, they faked my death with the shapeshifter. Storm got in a fight for her life for leadership of this group of chuds. Like, what are you?
Storm is the leader of the Morlocks now. Just so you, hey,
I'm covered with scorpions. Get them off me.
Yeah. At what point did any of this seem memorable to you, Professor?
Was this a memorable episode for you guys?
Well, after saying this incredibly creepy and disturbing line, he congratulates Storm on her leadership and says something along the lines of her leadership is what led this to being a successful mission, to which she says, well, I don't believe so because my
Jean tells me you acquitted yourself well as field commander.
The entire team nearly perished.
But they didn't.
Good job. They didn't die like Morph died.
But if there was a leader in that group that didn't have the claustrophobic powers, it would have been the same. I guess she did go off to fight. Yeah, I'd say so. I'll give him that because she did decide to make the challenge. It worked inexplicably so, and save the team. So yes, I guess whatever strange thought process she had that led to that happening worked out in their favor. So I guess go Storm. You deserve that one.
Go.
Nothing's inexplicable when it comes to Storm. She's bad.
That's true. I know you love Storm. But
Storm's probably my least favorite of the X-Men.
You're pro. Oh wow! You just hurt. You just cut.
I know.
Davan deep. It's gonna say you're pro Storm. You just cut him out of the.
Yeah. See you later. You don't like Storm. I don't like her powers more than I don't like her.
Well, it's an interesting thing about her powers.
You don't live in Nova Scotia. If you lived in Nova Scotia, you'd love to change the weather.
You'd want, yeah.
All right, so before we get into all this, final step, Scott and Jean go to say thank you to Wolverine for all his work in saving them, to which he is gone.
Well, first he does his little meme moment. He has a little meme moment.
Oh, his little what? Oh no, that was way before.
Meme moment. Oh, was that way before?
Yeah, that was earlier.
Oh, no.
We mentioned that way earlier. So they just go into his dojo and it's empty. And the picture of them is on the floor, ripped in half, that he was looking at earlier. So, like, even more disturbing. Yes, he had a framed picture of you as a couple, and then he tore it in half and left it there for you to
neatly
see.
Placed it on the ground just to get his point across. You know?
Wolverine, Jean and I wanted to thank you for.
He's gone.
Number one.
It's like maybe he went for a beer.
I was going to say incredibly
He's
dramatic.
gone.
I guess it looked like he'd moved out, like his bedding and clothes and stuff are gone. But it's just like
it's of them was broken.
Maybe the picture was what tipped him off. But yeah, that seems to be the Then we get another to be continued. Every fucking episode of the show is to be continued. There's
true.
very few standalone episodes. Episode 1 and 2 were continued. Then 3 was, 3 was continued. 4 and then into 4, and then we had 5, which is this one, which is continued to another one. So it seems like they're all 2-part episodes.
I've given up my idea of doing like any more 2-parters as a single episode. That was just a Night of the Sentinels thing because
that was our debut. We had to get her home.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. But it does seem like it could just be another episode. Like it doesn't need to be continued because I don't think the Morlocks are going to be in the next episode. So like whatever the through line is, it's just Wolverine left.
Mm-hmm.
Will he be back?
He's gone.
Wouldn't it be great if they never brought him back? That was the end of Wolverine in the show. He's just gone. He just ran off in a hissy fit, and we never see him again. Never.
He goes to Canada. This next one's in Canada.
Oh, wicked! Oh, I'm super excited for the next episode.
Well, that brings us to ratings from 1 to X. X
How are we
being
doing this?
10,
Usually
Dave.
it's-
I'm sure you figured that out. Hey?
Oh, sorry, that's the next
That's-
round. I was gonna say, how are we doing the 10 points since there's 3 of us now?
We'll figure it out.
All right.
What
Rating
about-
to X, Dave. Go ahead.
Why don't you lead us off here with a rating from 1 to X, Dave?
Wait,
X
X
being
means
10.
10?
Yes.
Yep.
The Roman numeral.
So
Oh,
it's
I'd
basically
say
melding your format with mine. It's fitting that you're our first guest.
1
We
to
stole
X.
everything
I
from
get
you,
what you're
Dave, and now
doing
you're
there.
finding out about it.
I would probably say I give this like a 7. It's pretty good, but it's not my favorite episode of the series.
That's fair. I think it's probably around where I would fall as well. I'd say 7. It's it's kind of
I'm gonna-
clunky. They do throw a lot at you. There's a lot going on with all these new mutants and this new stuff, but it's interesting. I mean, it is really showing Storm come into her own. So yeah, I'd say 7's fine. You're gonna give it like a 10, aren't you? Because it's so Storm centric.
I'm going to give this one a 9.
Oh,
It gets a lot into one 20-minute episode. It introduces the Morlocks, I think, pretty sufficiently.
Yeah.
It does expand Storm's leadership role. It gets into the love triangle thing.
that's what I mean. It's like you got Storm's claustrophobia, you got the love triangle, you got the Morlocks. I guess the Morlocks is a device to really hammer home the love triangle. But it's there's a lot going on. But I do think they navigated it fairly well. So yeah, that's why. But I think the fact that Storm has such a forefront in this episode may have bumped you up a couple of notches there, Davin.
It probably took me down a few notches.
Possible.
Well,
It is possible.
somewhere in the middle. Maybe I
Whereas-
should pick 8 then, just so I'm in the middle. I'm gonna pick 8 just so I'm the
You
middle.
could
of
be
the road.
right. Yeah.
All right.
Right in
Sit
the
on that
middle.
fence.
That's right. It's a
There
good
we go.
place.
Makes me seem less biased. I like that.
That's right. I do like.
All
this
right,
episode,
let's move
so-
on to.
It's good. How many times did
It's
they use
good.
those Morlocks again? Like they come back a few times, right?
They'll be back. They're back in the Christmas episode for sure.
Is that this season?
No, they're not back
Okay.
this season. I
Yeah.
don't think. And some
nice
of
that
them
they
might
come
be captured in Genosha or something. I don't know. We'll see.
So they
That's
get,
coming
I,
up
I
soon,
like
then.
that maybe Storm sends them a Christmas card. Hey, just thinking of you in the sewers. Hope things are going good while I'm sipping tea in this mansion.
Invited you to the mansion. I just want to make sure that you remember that. You
Just
guys
that I
said you want to stay in the stores.
I tried.
I tried.
Yeah.
So normally Andre and I each have 5 points because we like to have X's everywhere, and 5s look like an X on a dice, and 5 equals 10, which is another X. We have X's everywhere, like the number 23.
Let's just do 3 each and then someone do 4.
I was gonna say, since I didn't tell Dave to prepare for this, you and I each do 4, and we'd see if Dave wants to improv a couple.
Okay, that's fair. Is that comfortable with you, Dave?
Think you can come up with a couple points, a couple things this
Just things
episode
in the
made you
episode
think
you
of?
liked or you wanted
Just
to talk
random. We'll go first, and then
yeah.
see if you have a couple.
I've been
at the end.
holding on to something. I have at least one.
Oh,
well, go ahead.
That you
Well,
guys
yeah,
are probably
yeah, you
both
go
aware
ahead.
of. Okay, so we were talking about Rogue earlier, and some of her Southern styles, and I was like, who did the voice of Rogue? And then I was just looking her up as we were talking. Her name was Lenore Zahn,
Yep.
who
Zan.
apparently was up until very recently the member of Parliament for
for his writing.
For
Andre's
my,
writing.
my
Cumberland,
community.
Colchester.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
community. I live in
His-
Truro, which is Colchester County. She was my MLA for quite a while.
And-
Until
I
and
met her
me
in
as well.
Dartmouth one time. No, Halifax.
Yeah,
I met her in Halifax.
yeah.
no,
It
no.
says she was the member of the Nova Scotia Assembly and then a member of Canadian Parliament
Yeah,
until
in the Liberal Party.
August 15th of 2021.
Yeah, that's when the election was. She was in the Liberal Party here. Her office is just downtown. She does plays and stuff around Truro. She did Shakespeare in the Park a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
I was almost involved in one of her things, but it came across something else I was doing. So, yeah, no, she's a big part of Truro. And she's when my wife graduated from college, she gave the keynote speech. Like, yeah, she's around. And
she lost to Stephen Ellis.
She what?
She lost to Stephen Ellis in the election.
Yeah, he was the PC guy.
She has something more important to do anyway, which is X-Men 97.
Yeah,
a doctor and a Royal Canadian Air Force vet captain.
Yeah, it was a spicy election, that's for sure. For those of us that are here to experience it.
Yeah,
but yeah,
they didn't know she was rogue on X-Men.
I don't know. A lot of
people... I every time there's an election in this province, I just start hashtag going rogue on everything. So I've been a supporter of hers politically for a long time.
Do you know anything about her
hashtag going rogue?
Just because she's rogue.
I don't know anything about her politics. I just know she voiced rogue.
Yeah,
she learned about being a true hero.
She's been an actress for quite a while. Like she was on Broadway. I think she played Marilyn Rowers in something.
I think she was on like CSI or like NYPD.
Yeah, she's on the L Word.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, she was in some movies, like the obscure Canadian horror movie called Happy Birthday to Me. She was in that.
We hope to have her on the show.
Yeah, maybe
Let's get her on. Let's get her on and see. You know, she's out of work right now, so you know she's.
She's in Toronto filming the show.
Yeah, she's recording the next X-Men series.
Oh, that's X-Men 97. She's part of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
They got most of the voice cast.
They all are. They brought back everybody.
Well, she's like, good thing I lost that election, so I can get to Toronto and do my get my.
It was good timing for her. I mean, I'm sure she's sad to have lost the position, but yeah, like I said, it was a weird race, that's for sure. But yeah,
so I guess that brings me to my first point, I guess, which is Jean's powers.
Mm-hmm.
So we see her telekinesis, which she has, and we see her telepathy, which she has, but she also has this third power, which is to just shoot blue beams at people. So
yes, that seemed to force them backwards. So it always seemed like
sort of, but her telekinesis usually has like a lightning boltish kind of look to it, where it like surrounds people, and then they mix them up and they
like when she saved those people from getting hit with the subway, right? Because there's a part where like those two are gonna get hit, and she like lifts them up into the ceiling.
Yeah.
But then sometimes she'll just like shoot you with a blue beam out of her hands.
Her powers are pretty inconsistent, and I don't know.
She's developing the Phoenix, I guess.
A lot of them are in this series. It's like Wolverine, like we mentioned, Wolverine's healing factor. Like it seems to be incredibly slow, to the point that it's just a normal healing factor. It's like, I have a healing factor too. If I get cut in like a couple weeks, the cut goes away. So look at me, I'm a mutant.
Yeah, and like Professor X's powers, like you think he'd be able to find them and whatever, but
yeah, it always seemed to me like Jean was the telekinetic one. And like she could move stuff with her mind, and Professor X was all purely mind based,
right?
But they seem to cross over a little bit here and there. I guess if you controlled someone's mind and made them throw themselves against the wall, that would work. But it seems kind of, weird.
Yeah. Throw yourself against the wall.
Yeah.
Throw yourself against the wall.
I need to throw myself against the wall. My point would be Wolverine's little living quarters. I like that it's like a little mini dojo. That he's just like dressed in a gi and just doing random karate stuff at random points when he's healing in his little dojo. I think that's a fun little nod to his time in Japan, which I'm sure will come up later. But just sort of funny because it's like, especially in the 90s, early 2000s, like the hyper bro, like Japanese culture. I have a samurai sword and I do karate kind of thing that sort of morphed into the fascination with MMA we all have now. Like I just love that it sort of fits into that in a weird way, and I think it's really funny.
All right, well, let's just throw a couple back and forth and then throw to Dave for the ending here, since we didn't ask him to come prepared.
So we got 3 so far.
This episode almost lost its G rating due to Gambit's Speedo. I think it was pretty small.
When's he in a Speedo?
Pretty tight. When Jean and Wolverine were, Wolverine's pretending to hurt. Gambit and Rogue walk by in their bathing suits.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, he's a teeny tiny little speedo because he's the sexiest man in cartoons.
I think that's what. I think that's when Wolverine's in the bed looking at the photo because they walk by in the hall and somebody says something
I
about
think you're
them being
right.
lovebirds, and then he gets angry. I forgot about the speedo.
Why would that even remotely matter? Like,
I think he's joking. I don't think it actually almost lost a G rating for that.
Yeah, that was a joke.
That seems like a really
we did over here on X-rated.
We like to laugh. Yeah, my next point would be the budding the I know we talked about it a bit, but I just found adding the Wolverine Jean Grey thing, that Wolverine has feelings for Jean Grey, and it's predominantly it seems like such a trope in fiction that you need to have the hard ass tough guy character that this seems to soften only when there's a love interest. Nothing softens them. There's no really caring for anybody in the world. But the second it's like some kind of a love angle cuts into it is when it's like, he has a heart. And I do feel like this kind of came out of nowhere, but I do feel like it gave the Wolverine voice actor a little bit of emotional range instead of just screaming about scorpions and Morph dying. You playing scorpions again?
Cyclops is waiting for me.
So am I.
He sounds very pained there.
It sounds like Victor Newman from that soap opera.
Sounds like he'll die if he doesn't have her, which is, I guess, works. This old bleeding heart comic fan enjoyed it.
Well, my next one is: did you notice they changed the end skit? They stopped using the rotating action figures.
Right. Yes.
And it's just sort of like a rehashed intro now.
Yeah, before they used to have these really bad CGI characters of each character rotating with a little thing about their power levels and what their powers are underneath, kind of like the old comic cards.
There's a new X-Men character named Ken.
What, right now?
There's some comment there.
Oh,
the Twitch stream.
Just a comment there.
Oh, I didn't know Oh, that's where those are coming from. The Twitch stream.
Yeah.
I thought it was our Dark Overlord telling us what to do. It kind of is, actually.
Yeah.
All right. So what do we got? That's 4 points so far, or 5?
We have to get to 10.
I think we got to get. We need more.
That's what I'm
one
trying
more each. One more each, Andre, and then one for Dave.
All right. You go for. I did the last one, so it's you.
Well, for me, it was the lightsaber thing. Okay, yep. Storm.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Storm's leadership.
Yeah.
So the reason she is the best leader of the X-Men, and it seems to be going that way, is she has those field leader qualities, but she also kind of has that bravery and immediate plan whenever they're in trouble. She did that last episode too, where Magneto was kind of defeating them. She's just like, I know what to do, with the missiles,
Yeah, it was 2 episodes ago, but yeah, she was willing to sacrifice herself to blow up the missiles and save, whoever. So
yeah, and she just did that again. So we're 4 episodes in, basically, and because for the 2-parter in the beginning, and she's already tried to sacrifice herself for the team twice.
She does seem to show a lot more leadership-y stuff than what would seemingly be the de facto one Cyclops would. That's for sure. And it seems like situations have gone that way, but my last
was
one,
a child soldier, essentially. He's been
do they get into the Starjammers in this series eventually? Do we meet his dad and Havoc?
Oh, yeah.
And all that
We meet his brother.
Definitely.
I don't know if we do meet
Havoc. We definitely meet the Starjammers. So.
Oh, his dad does come along too. Yeah, that's right.
Corsair.
Yeah, Corsair. In all the Shi'ar episodes and stuff. They're wrapped up in all that stuff.
I'd mentioned before, Dave, that 11 comics, nobody can just have anything normal in their life. Cyclops can't just have a normal dad. His dad needs to be a space pirate. And then he needs to have a brother that's on another mutant team. And then later on a third brother that is an alien warlord. And then I don't know what his mom is, but she's probably some kind of princess or something from another planet. based on the way everything else goes. So
just like Peter Parker's got to have his parents were secret agents or whatever.
Yeah, that came much later, and then he has like a long lost sister that you didn't know about that has a vendetta against the chameleon who is connected with his parents dying. Like it just all seems to everything has to connect somehow. Nobody can just be unrelated.
Yeah, you can't just be some normal guy
or have a normal dude over here. Like even if you're just a superhero and you have a normal friend, their dad turns out to be a supervillain, or like their mom or their brother, or there's some connection. Like even in I don't want to get too deep into this, but I just think it's funny because like Spider-Man's a good example because everybody connected to him has some kind of. Mary Jane's the only one I think who her parents didn't turn out to be supervillains or anything, or her aunt or any of that. But like his best friend's Harry, whose dad turns into the Green Goblin. Flash eventually becomes Venom. But even like
Gwen Stacy has Green Goblin's kids.
They just recently retconned that. It's not true. So yeah, I know. It's a whole Mephisto thing is what it turned out to be. So then, and even like the Daily Bugle, they need to have Jameson coincidentally have a hand in making the Scorpion and the Human Fly. His son becomes a space werewolf. Even like Robbie Robertson, who's like the editor-in-chief, has to be secretly was friends as a kid with Tombstone. Like there's some connection to everybody that just starts to walk into people's lives.
It's kind of like when my wife watches The Young and the Restless, and she's like, "So this guy, well, he's died 10 times, and then this guy's come back to life, and then he used to be married to her sister, but now and like it's just like over a long enough timeline with these writers, they'll do whatever, like they'll just come.
I love recently
Young and the Restless. She's gonna love my Victor Newman reference if Jane's watching this.
I don't think just because it's X-Men, I don't think she is.
Speaking of soap opera crap, I think it was like one of the actors from General Hospital just got canned for refusing to get vaccinated. It's like you're on a show about doctors. He's like, nope. Funny. His reasoning was something to do with his like religious belief that God gave his body everything it needs to fight the virus. It wasn't even like a Mormon thing or something. It was just like, I believe God instilled me with the power to fight viruses. All right, my final point is Beast.
He used to be blind.
No Beast. We have this arc that's running this whole season about Beast being in prison and being the de facto figurehead for mutant rights in this new society. But not a reference, not a mention, not an image, nothing. Nobody.
He's getting 2 squares a day.
They did.
They're not worried about him.
But it is an overarching story that's like going to play into this whole series. I think it goes right to the end of the season, doesn't it? Before the trial and all that. So
I think so.
Yeah, so he's in prison for quite a while, and it's nice to have. I don't think he was in the last episode either, was he?
No.
Yeah, so it seems like they're really spacing out the beastness.
Which plays to what you said about him not originally being a main character. And
yeah, originally apparently
great
they
personality
didn't intend for him to be a main character in the series, but he was liked so much that they kept him in.
Okay, my point.
One more point. You got a point for us there, Dave?
Sure, dude. Did you know this was adapted from a comic book? Well, not specifically. This story comes from a comic book story, Uncanny X-Men number 169 and 170, and there's a bunch of differences. There's a bunch of differences between this version and what had taken place in the comic books. In particular, it was Angel who was kidnapped by Callisto and was to become her lover or rape victim. He was.
So I do have that issue. I can picture
really
the
wanted
cover.
her son to fly. That's
like on a.
She's like, I want my son to have wings.
Yeah, I want him to fly.
Yeah. The other thing too is like there's the duel between Storm and Callisto takes place in the comic book as well, but it's just a knife fight.
I was gonna say they have knives. Yeah, it's like a good old fashioned
are a little more
knife fight.
Yeah, and then Storm stabs her in the heart, but she survives because like there's a Morlock nearby to like heal her.
Yeah, it's way more violent. They're not getting away with that on Fox Kids.
No, they're like, well, we can't give them knives.
I will
give them
destroy her
lightsabers.
hearts with this knife.
They have to have like.
Can you imagine if they did that in the show? She just stabbed her right through the heart.
Like they don't even let Wolverine stab people.
Yeah, Wolverine. We tried. He was gonna stab that lady right through the face with his claw. Oh, boy.
In this show, he exclusively uses claws to climb walls or slash open doors. He never used them to actually cut people.
Yeah. And the other thing too was like at the end of the episode in the comic book when Wolverine leaves, he just takes a leave of absence. He doesn't just go to Japan. He doesn't just mysteriously leave without any kind of explanation.
Yeah,
go to
you
Canada.
gotta think for the writers for this show, they must have really had it must be great to be a writer on a show like this where they're like, hey, we want you to write this X-Men cartoon. Don't worry about having any original ideas. There's about 10,000 comic books you can mine for everything you'll need for the rest of the series. Here you go.
Can you do snappy dialogue? You're hired.
You're hired. Just take these stories,
Can you draw? Kind of. You're hired too.
Dumb them down so take up most of the extreme violence and any references to do they get into the technovirus in this series? Does that happen?
Oh yeah, we'll get into
the thing
the
that kills
That comes later.
Phalanx
Okay.
Covenant in the final season.
The old allegory for AIDS thing that they did for a while there in the comics in the 90s.
Oh, that's the legacy virus.
Legacy virus. That's what I'm thinking of. Sorry. Does that happen?
No, I don't think they do the legacy virus in this show.
Okay.
Here's my question for you, Davin.
Yeah.
So in the comic books, when Storm, after this whole thing with Callisto and her taking leadership of the Morlocks, she changed her look in the comic books. She went to this
She
mohawk look,
Yeah.
and she had
My
this
favorite
more
Storm look.
That was
punk rock.
80 Storm.
That didn't happen
Mhm.
here. Do you wish that had happened in the cartoon?
Oh my God, yes, I love that question, and the answer is yes. Yes.
Yeah, it was a
The
super
Mohawk
cool look.
Storm.
Every once in a while, they'll bring it back in the
so
comics
good.
or something similar to it, or to
Yep.
update it. But I always thought it was super because she had the leather outfit and the big white mohawk, and super badass looking for sure.
Did they do that in one of the
she
newer
had
X-Men
it in
movies?
her solar series.
Was
I
it?
think, yeah.
I don't know. I gave up on
yeah.
those a couple movies.
It was
ago.
Age of Apocalypse. That was the one
Yeah.
they because it was in the 80s, so her
Oh,
look
right,
kind of
right.
fit the character in the 80s.
Right.
But yeah, that look that the actress that played her had looks very much like that. Movie is terrible and very forgettable, but that actress did look very much like, at least it had some kind of cool comic accurate. I mean, Apocalypse looked like Ivan Ooze, but at least Psylocke looked kind of cool. We got some kind of comic-y looking versions of characters, which are neat.
Apocalypse did not
For me,
look
the villain
cool.
doesn't work in that at all.
No, Oscar
And
Isaac's
he
a
didn't
great
say
actor,
anything
but,
epic. Like John Colicos, I am. What does he say? I am the rocks upon the eternal shore. Crash upon me and be broken. That's Apocalypse.
that is
Yeah.
Apocalypse. That's what
Why
we
did you
need
get
in
that
their
guy to
own-
play Apocalypse?
Yeah, for
He-
sure.
I don't think he's alive anymore. John Colicos, maybe he
Ooh.
is.
John Kalikos? No, he's
John
dead.
Colicos. Yeah.
You mean
alright. He
from
played
Star
Core.
Trek?
He played Core.
Yeah,
Core is
I was like,
Apocalypse.
I know that name.
Yeah, I was going to
Star
say
Trek.
from Star Trek.
Well, that
yeah.
brings us to everyone's favorite segment. What's wrong with Andre?
Right now I have a foot problem. I have something.
It's not going to help you in the ring there, Andre.
No, well, thankfully it's kind of the off season. Yes, I have a condition commonly known as gout, which sometimes happens even though you stay active and don't eat a lot of red meat or drink a lot, because I don't. But some people's bodies naturally produce a lot of uric acid, so mine apparently does. And I'm on the mend now, but it hurts and it sucks.
Yeah, gout is not fun.
Yeah, it's weird because I'm almost embarrassed. This is like me trying to normalize it, not be embarrassed by saying it, because it's has a stigma forever for being like an old person thing or a fat person thing. And if you do any research on it, it's all like old stuff that isn't actually accurate at all. You can eat an incredibly clean diet and work out a lot like I do and still get it. So here we are. It sucks.
Sorry to hear that.
It's all right. I'll be fine. I'll survive. I can walk a lot better in the last few days.
Definitely chiseled over there, Andre. Looking
That's right.
chiseled.
That's right. As my shirt. This is completely accurate.
Old school Andre Mayette.
That's right. Official old school Andre Mayette merchandise available at my Facebook page.
A great champion.
Thank you.
That brings us to our newest segment.
Ooh,
What's working with Davin?
I like it. What's working with you?
What's wrong with Andre? What's
Wilson?
working with Davin?
Yeah.
Yep.
I like how we've already established our characters. I
Yeah, well-
complained and you're positive.
Andre's started
I'm
the
a
whole
curmudgeon
podcast
and
off
you're
talking about his existential dread. So
That's true. I do have a lot of that. That hasn't gone away. That's still very much there.
well, mine's not,
permeates
so that's
everything I
working. But no, getting a little ahead of Christmas shopping this year as opposed to previous years, so that's working.
By ahead, you mean just now? Because it's only like 10 days away.
And I'm not quite done, but yes, it's still ahead of
good. I'm glad
schedule.
to hear. I've been done.
Still
for
ahead of
weeks.
schedule. It's working. It's working with Davan.
I used to do it all on Christmas Eve as like a principal, but now
Really?
It's going to be the.
Do you have children, Dave?
I do.
I feel like that'd be incredibly tough to do with children.
I'm going to debate him on Sunday.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Yes. I would like to do one of your debates.
Gonna stop him into the ground. Sorry, Dave.
Because Davan has mentioned a few times, and I will for sure. Definitely, Deep Space Nine is what I know the most about, and after the holidays.
Trivial Debates has nothing to do with Star Trek. That's why you'd be perfect for that. It's just general knowledge trivia, like
general knowledge. It's more like arguing, and we go through different. Actually, I got the little poster here. You can share, Davan.
All right.
I used to be a big part of a thing in. I used to be a huge part of a event they used to do in Halifax called Geeks versus Nerds, where we do a stage show just like this. We'd have a team of three, very much like the debaters in CBC Radio, where you'd have three people from each side defending weird topics about two, figures from nerddom.
Yeah, and so in our format, like we'll have a movie round, and like our host will say, like, what's the best, whatever, like best Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, whatever.
Do you know it beforehand, or is it a surprise?
We know the questions, but not what everybody's gonna champion, right?
Okay.
Like, so Davan will be competing against my son Eamon on December 27th.
How old's your son?
He's 19.
Okay, then you can tell. You have a 19-year-old son. You look way too young to have a son that old.
Doesn't look a day over 30.
You look like you're like 25. How old are you?
I'm 38.
My age.
Oh, okay. So you had him young. I didn't mean to bring that out if that's a point of contention or anything, but no, okay.
There was no contention.
I was going to say you look super young to have a kid that old. So
thank you.
Since we have a guest here today, we have a special segment.
Ooh.
What's digging
at Dave? Yeah.
I got a podcast I got to get ready for after this. So
are you guys on tonight?
We're on tonight. We're covering Star Trek Discovery, Season 4, Episode 5, The Examples. So we'll be talking about that over on Live Long and Podcast tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern. So
tell me one thing, because I'm one season. I actually have 2 seasons behind, so I haven't seen the 3rd season or the newer season that's coming out of Discovery, but it's next on my list to catch up on. Is David Cronenberg's appearance in it awesome? Because I love David Cronenberg.
I think so. Yes, to begin his very
is
first
he like a villain, or is he just like a dude that hangs out?
No, he's not a villain. He's kind of like this ominous character we don't really know a lot about yet.
Ooh, okay, cool. I'm in.
He's like a Starfleet guy of some kind.
He's like a Section 31 guy.
He's more like an intelligence guy or something. We don't even know what his job is actually, and we know his name is Kovich, and he wears a suit and tie even though it's the 31st century.
Nice. Sounds like my kind of people. Yeah. Awesome. Oh, well, it's great to have you. Thanks for coming on the show.
Our last segment of the day. Party like it's apostrophe 97.
Oh, yes. Do we have any information? Any new information about it?
Well, just that there's going to be an impactful event that kicks the series off and sort of brings the team back together again.
Did the show end in a way that let them have them go their separate ways, or just end without another?
Yeah, but we shouldn't spoil it that far into the future.
Okay.
There are things that happen at the end of this series, and also Deadpool.
He's going to be part of this.
This is more. He's on our poster here, so he like our background.
Is in the old series briefly. You saw his face a couple episodes ago when they were
we did
remembering the Weapon X program.
Yeah.
He's in the series already. Okay.
No. Well, just literally just his face. They're going through Sabretooth's memories of being in Weapon X, and you see his face. That's it.
Okay. So they're like, well,
theory time.
Here.
Yeah.
I think they will feature Deadpool quite heavily in Party Like It's Apostrophe 97. Maybe not quite heavily, but I think he'll be in it. I think he'll be voiced by Ryan Reynolds, and because he jumps through multiverses, universes. Deadpool goes wherever he wants because he knows he's in a comic book. So it's the perfect way to introduce the X-Men into the MCU because, it all connects, right? It all connects. But then there's this show.
I think
how does this all fit?
I think the MCU is a little more. I think this is just a nostalgia grab. I'm happy for it. I'm not dismissing it because of that. I think it's great, but I think it's not going to play into whatever they're doing in the main universe.
Strictly my theory. Andre doesn't endorse it.
It's not that they don't endorse it. I
endorse
just
the
think
theory.
realistically, they don't have the budget to pay for Ryan Reynolds to come do the voice of the cartoon.
He just
It'd be
wants to play
amazing if they
Deadpool.
did.
He'd do it for a lark.
Yeah, but he's going to be doing.
He
a movie
probably
for
likes this
Marvel,
cartoon.
so
He's our age, isn't he?
They're going to be doing a movie for Marvel, I think. So
He's pretty close. He's a little older than us, I think.
I think he's in his 40s,
Nah.
mid 40s. So
Well,
yeah, no,
You can contact us
7 years older than me.
at xmenreviewshow@gmail.com. And follow us on Facebook, Twitch, YouTubes, all of those things. And you should also check out all of these podcasts. Like Dave's podcast here, Super Mater Brothers.
Where we talk about TV shows and
Tell
movies
us
that are
about
not
Super Mater
Star
Brothers.
Trek.
Yeah.
Well, we talk about all kinds of things. Last night we finished up the finale of Survivor season 41. That was so we talked about that whole season. We broke that all down. We also talked about Big Brother USA and Big Brother Canada earlier this year. We also covered Marvel over on that podcast. We've been talking about Spider-Man, the new movie this Saturday. And we've been talking about the new, starting with 2021. So starting with WandaVision, we've been covering all the MCU installments and the new properties that have come out. And we talked about other shows like Tiger King. We talked about things like The Serpent, whatever kind, and the Beatles. We just finished up the Beatles Get Back
cool.
Documentary from Peter Jackson on Disney Plus. We did 3 installments of that. My brother Jeff and I, along with the Shields brothers, Jake and Josh. So that's all over there on Super Mater Brothers Podcasting. So check that out.
Cool. Do you guys do the new Hawkeye episode yet?
We haven't reviewed it. I watched the new one today. I watched like the newest Hawkeye.
It's so
good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah,
So good.
And then Live Long and Podcast is our Star Trek theme channel where we talk about Star Trek all the time. Monday nights now, we've just started talking about Star Trek Enterprise, starting with
Great show.
We're on to like the 3rd episode now. So
You're on board by episode 3, right?
we just finished episode 3, and we're going to be moving on to Strange
But
New
you love
World
it.
episode.
You're
I wouldn't say I
convinced
love
already.
it yet. I wouldn't say it's not my favorite Star Trek, but I love Star Trek. And then on Tuesday nights we cover Star Trek Deep Space Nine. We've been watching every episode in order.
Awesome.
And so we're into season 4 right now. Next week we're going to be talking about To the Death, which is the first introduction of Weyoun. That's played by Jeffrey Combs. And then, of course, as mentioned, tonight we'll be doing Discovery. Every Thursday we've been covering Star Trek Discovery. Davan and I, along with Jessica Chan, have been talking about Star Trek Prodigy. That first season is underway, although on hiatus right now, but coming back in January. So check that out. And then Star Trek, what else? Star Trek Picard in the new year. So all kinds of new Star Trek. And then Star Trek Radio Theater, our show where we reenact Star Trek scripts and things like that. We're going to be doing Star Trek First Contact this Sunday. We're going to be doing a live read of that script. All of us playing different characters. Davin's going to be playing Zephram Cochrane.
Not sober.
Wow, that's quite a role.
Yeah, I'll be playing Picard. My
method acting, Andre.
Aren't you? Isn't that's what's his face's character, right? Arthur
James Cromwell.
James Cromwell, that's his name, Cromwell.
Yeah,
from
great
Babe.
actor. Fantastic. From Babe. That'll do, pig.
Yeah, and so we'll be reading that out. Different. Every actor gets to bring something new to this role, so you can do it kind of like an impression, or you can do something else, right? So whatever you want.
I hope David goes full method and does like Newfoundland or something accent. That'd be amazing.
Yeah,
I already declared the method.
Okay.
Yeah. When Zephram drinks, he drinks. That's how he's going.
I love it.
So we got all kinds of things over there, and then Trivial Debates, we already mentioned, that's our 3rd channel. So
awesome, man. Sounds fantastic.
They got a lot of stuff going on over there. You should check it all out. Before we distract you with our other podcasts, there's a t-shirt coming down the pipe about this podcast. Anyone want a t-shirt?
Yeah, it might be a bit before we actually get them out there. You need to garner enough interest to get them out there and sell them, I guess. But
yeah, exactly. We don't have them in t-shirt form yet, but
we will.
If you want a t-shirt like that, send us money. We'll make you one.
That's right. We sure will.
All right.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's my podcast, the Graphic Histories Podcast, in which every bi-weekly I interview people related to the comic and nerd industry. I've had some great guests in the past, including Rob Gilroy, the artist for Chew, A lot of Marvel and DC artists, comic writers, and stuff. And this week,
Don't let the last episode discourage you.
This Saturday, I have the illustrious guest, one Davan Skellhorn, who is my guest in this podcast, in which I pick his brain, I enter him, if you will, and learn all about learn and learn all about Davan's dark and sordid past, and it's a lot of fun.
He must probe deeper.
Yeah, probe deeper. So if you like this and you want to hear me and Davan just talk about stuff that's not just X-Men, there's the episode for you. But there's a lot of great episodes with a lot of really cool people that are in and around nerddom, and it's a really fun listen. So definitely get on that.
In fact, when he asked me about the X-Men, I ignored him and started talking about goats. So
that's true. We did get into a great goat conversation. And if you want something provocative to make you want to listen to this episode, you can find out how Davan almost killed Stan Lee. So
it's true that we do get into that.
Davan almost killed Stan Lee, and you'll find out exactly how that happened on that episode.
Well, I'm intrigued.
Yeah. Then they got to tune in.
That's going to get more listens because of that. That's true.
I think so. I've been using it a lot in the social media marketing.
Oh, good. Well,
don't worry, he did die, so you can't kill him twice. So,
maybe Davan actually finished the job. Maybe that's what happened.
Whoa, scurrilous accusations.
All right.
You nuts.
Locutors of Trek.
Listen to Locutors of Trek. We do all kinds of things. We had a Geek Tall Challenge recently. We have our regular podcast. We have a Debate 9 segment coming up on Monday. It's going to be fun. That'll be featuring myself and Dave's brother, Jeff, and also Brian Babineau from the EDH Rec podcast. And we do a bunch of mini debates there. That's going to be fun. And we do music. We do lots of other things. We keep it busy here. I try to keep the ideas flowing.
Awesome.
I guess that's it, though, for us here today.
Thanks, Dave. Great having you on.
Hey, thanks, Andre. Nice to meet you. And Davan, thanks for including me. This is a great show, and it's keep on trucking.
Well, definitely.
I learned from the best. That's you.
Oh, that's funny.
We'll have you back for sure.
I look forward to it. Maybe when that Alpha Flight shows up, I would love to.
It's next episode, isn't it?
No, it's just a different Canada one.
Oh.
Alpha Flight's like season 2, episode 4, or something like that.
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited for that one.
All right, try to remember that.
Until next time, keep it Xy.
Xy.